If you have not seen this interview here with Max Blumenthal and Jimmy Dore, this is an update here. Something that was released. Max Blumenthal was able to actually capture this video on Twitter. A conversation that I don't think the gentleman in this video really intended for everyone to hear what they're saying. Because it was very clear to me when I watched this video clip, I was like, is that guy drunk? He's just openly saying things that I don't think he would have normally probably said if he wasn't, I don't know, if he didn't have a little bit of the bubbly, you know what I'm saying? So Max Blumenthal was on Jimmy Dore for this discussion. And I'm going to fast forward just a little bit so we can get to the part of that video. Because here we have a couple of Ukraine training soldiers, and now they're just chilling in the room, just shooting the breeze, having a couple of drinks. And there are some things that are admitted that I don't really think they probably wanted everyone to hear this. That's why I was like, how much did they have to drink before this happened? Now, these guys are a part of the Mozart group. Listen to this. I'm going to start from the beginning of the discussion here because this was pretty telling. Guys, go ahead and make sure you hit that like button there. That helps me out with the algo. Thank you so much. All right, let's go on.
Mercenary firm gets sauced on camera and spills the beans. You want to hear what he says? To here, this is great. Here, let's play it.
It's a corrupt, fucked up society.
What did he say? Ukraine's a what?
It's a corrupt, fucked up society.
It's a corrupt, effed up society. He says, okay.
It's a corrupt, fucked up society. So I'm not a big fan of Ukraine. Oh, what is that?
This is Buffalo Trace.
First of all, I didn't know Tim Robbins drank. Anyway, okay, here we go.
So that guy does look like, when I first saw this video clip on Twitter, I was like, that guy looks like Tim Robbins. Like Tim Robbins, the actor, for those who are not aware. That's what he looks like. Jesus. But I can't believe he admitted that. But it gets worse.
Okay. And the Ukrainians are in violation of the Hague Convention. There is a, I forget the exact phraseology, but it is, we looked at this closely, and it's they should be no filming of the phrase, the terminology is bringing attention, blah 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 blah, to media, and yes, the Ukrainians are violating that.
So what he's talking about there, Max, he's talking about that they're, when they have prisoners of war, that they film them and they use them for propaganda and they put them in the front and center in the media. And that's, of course, against the Geneva Conventions, and that they're doing that. So that would be considered a war crime, right?
Yes.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's admitting there. Okay.
And how many people on mainstream media are talking about that? Is CNN talking about that? MSNBC, are they talking about this? Probably not.
Hold on.
In addition to another admission.
What was the other admission?
Well, I think
it's coming up.
Coming right
yeah,
up.
Here it comes.
Absolutely. They're filming of a number of things that they're doing with POWs is violating law of armed conflict, and he can't, guys.
Right.
Killing Russian prisoners is
right. And it's interesting because
it's funny how hammered he is. He's really hammered. I've been hammered like that, I think, once on camera, maybe twice.
I'm trying to figure out what they were drinking too, because I was looking at the bottle and I'm like, oh, it's the hard stuff. It's not a beer, obviously, but yeah, he's had a couple.
Okay.
The past in you like Latin America or whatever, if U.S. Forces or employees were involved with any force that committed, war atrocities or whatever,
back, right?
you have to, you're done.
Yeah.
But we're obviously not going to pull our support from Ukraine at this.
Well,
so Max, what did he just say there?
He just said that, when this has been widely reported that Ukrainian forces commit atrocities. They execute Russian prisoners, and they often do so on camera for propaganda. And then, his host says, well, in the US, if you do this, you're done. But in Ukraine, there's nothing we can do. So we're just going to keep giving them more weapons to do it.
Okay.
But see, they openly admitted that during that discussion. And that's another thing, too, because when we've talked to people about this and we've told them that, like, have you seen these videos of the Ukrainian soldiers beating Russian people, beating the Russian prisoners? And people would say to us, like, yeah, that's not real. And like, here you have Ukrainian soldiers or Ukrainian training soldiers admitting to just that. And here's the thing. I could show those same people this same video and they would still say, yeah, but CNN said, but MSNBC said, so it's not happening.
Okay, there's a little bit more of this, I think.
I mean,
these violations.
It's atrocities. No,
Yeah.
I mean, it still is. I mean, you shouldn't kill. You shouldn't kill dudes who. I mean, everyone knows who surrendered. I mean,
Guys.
Hey, everybody knows shouldn't kill. You shouldn't kill dudes. Surrendered.
Dude, don't execute the prisoner, dude. Just
Ooh.
come on, bro.
Bro, I got enough gas to go to Pittsburgh. Ooh.
But my point is, it's not about Ukraine. We're not like, I happen to have, Ukraine flag tied to my bag, but I'm not, oh my God, Ukraine's so awesome. No, because I understand that there are plenty fucked up people running Ukraine. It's not about that. It's about global norms, right?
Right.
Global norms.
So that piece was interesting too. And the reason why I wanted you to hear that as well is because he even said, he's like, yeah, I have a Ukrainian flag, but I'm not like, woo, Ukraine is wonderful. And that's interesting because we do see that happen a lot more so on social media where people will have the Ukrainian flag like in their Twitter, like bio, and they'll defend it at no end, like just defend it at no end, the actions, the war, all of this stuff. And here you have someone who's actually there, who's actually been there. And he says, yes, I have this Ukrainian flag, but at the same time, I'm not going to like say, yay, this place is wonderful. And he goes on to say bad things about it. So what I think is really interesting is that I wish those people who have that flag in their bio, like the NAFO trolls, like on Twitter, those little doggy, like those accounts, I really wish they would see this video to see like you have someone who's there telling you what it's really like, and you're still willing to defend it at no end, to no end.
It's about Putin. It's like allowing dudes in the 21st century like Putin to do what they want to do.
It's a just fight.
Yeah, it is.
If it was another kind of dude,
guys.
you could be able to do it. But Putin's not the dude.
If it was another cut, yeah. Come on, guys, get him to demonstrate a sniper rifle, would you?
If it was a dude like George W. Bush, fine.
This is so relatable. He's like the Kelly Clarkson of nuclear brinkmanship, I got to say. Not since trickle down was explained to Reagan on a bark napkin. It's really... Anyway, I say when Milburn passes out, they should Sharpie his cock and then live stream the gangbang. That's what I think they should do. Anyway. So here, look at this. This is the Mozart group. This is their Twitter page. So this guy's from the Mozart group. So was this important? Because this guy's from this Mozart group, right? And I'll show you. And their motto is now, they're saying, now is the time for us to unite to defend the freedom of the Ukraine people. First of all,
how do they take this name? Like, I remember when I first saw this and I was like, the Mozart group. And I'm like, why did they take a composer's name to name their group? Especially if people who like love Mozart. Like, oh my God.
Oh, who doesn't love Mozart, right? That's a good name.
Yeah.
But get this. I went and looked this up. This is from Wikipedia. So there's the Mozart group is a private security company, but there's a Mozart Group, which is a Polish cabaret and comedy string quartet, which I think, Max, you played in for a little while, didn't you?
I did. I played the oboe.
That's what I thought. And then if you look at the bottom, the name of the group was chosen as a witty reference and counterpoint to the Russian mercenary Wagner Group. Both groups thus being named for German-speaking composers. A rescue dog named Richie serves as the group's mascot. Could you think of a worse rescue than that?
Yeah, you're not really getting rescued if you're escorting a bunch of psychotic mercenaries into battle to witness the brains of captured Russian soldiers explode on your on your dog collar.
So this Mozart Group, these are mercenaries from the United States, and they provide military training, civil evacuations, and rescue and humanitarian aid distribution. It was founded in mid-March by this guy, Andrew Milborn, a retired U.S. Marine colonel, deputy commander of the Special Operations Command Central. Boy, oh boy, these guys love to puff themselves up with titles. Who also serves as the head of the Mozart Group. So that's it. So that's who this guy is. This is what it says about him over here. During his 31-year military career, I commanded complex operations involving thousands of personnel from multiple countries, started new organizations, and successfully led them to accomplish high-stakes missions, led major organizations through periods of critical change, coached and mentored several hundred leaders, designed and delivered numerous training initiatives. Wow. Yeah. So that's who this guy says he is. Anyway, he seems great.
Let's fast forward a little bit here because I want to get back to, I think I'll go too far. Oh, whoops. This part right here. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit forward. I wanted to get to the part where Max, okay.
Seen that clip. Yeah, Andy Milburn, he's pretty famous within military circles. In Marine circles, he's a former Marine. He has a British accent, but he's American. He's our guy. And he had seen what was taking place on the front lines. He trained these soldiers. As you see, he was getting lots of ink, puff pieces in the New York Times, and they were painting him as this sort of someone who was passionate about Ukraine, who cared so much about their cause and found something true and just and pure in Ukraine after training and after participating in the failed U.S. interventions and regime change wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He had like a midlife crisis, and Ukraine was the cure, the remedy for his boredom and lack of purpose, because they are fighting pure evil and they are good. And then he goes on this kind of military groupie podcast called The Team House. And for whatever reason, despite being involved in all these sensitive missions and being such a consequential figure leading one of the biggest mercenary firms in Ukraine, he sits there for 3 hours getting wasted. And he actually,
this is the piece. Can I just come forward for a second and say something? I was actually surprised by that too. I'm like, if this is someone who was involved in like these like secret missions and everything, like go to that channel, The Team House, and you'll see other videos like this as well. But he is just sitting there, just obviously a little bit more than buzzed probably, and probably admitting some things that maybe he probably would not admit if he were sober. I found that to be kind of strange. I'm like, this guy's been on like these secret, like these special missions, and he's willing to come on to this podcast and just kind of say whatever. You would think that he would be a little bit more protective, or you would think that he would be a little bit more concerned about revealing that much information just to a podcast like that. That's what was interesting to me.
Actually goes down pretty quick. I mean, Jimmy, I don't know how long it takes for you to get like that, but like after like an hour, he was gone. And he's slurring his speech. I first listened to it. You know, you listen to YouTube podcasts on like 1.5 speed or sometimes 2 times speed. You listen to it at that point and he seems kind of coherent, but then I listened to it at normal speed and this guy was gone. And then he just reveals, it's a mask off moment. He starts revealing the real truth about what he saw there, a deeply effed up society run by incredibly sick people. He says the leadership of Ukraine are incredibly sick people. And he says that it's not even about Ukraine for him. It's about the U.S. Having to stand up to Russia, because if the U.S. appears weak, Russia will go further. And
that part right there. If the U.S. appears weak, Russia will go further. And I will add also maybe economically as well. Because I told you guys, I don't think it's just about Ukraine. I don't think it's just about, you know, this sovereignty and war crimes. I don't think it's just about that. I'm looking at like the bigger picture, and I'm looking at the fact that Russia is seen as somewhat of a competitor for the United States. I think that's the same reason why they're constantly demonizing China as well. Economically, China is also a competitor for the United States. In fact, I'm going to show you the top banks in the world in just a second. But that to me is kind of like how I see it. It's not, to me, it's not just about this particular war. I'm looking at the bigger picture here, and it's about who is going to be on top, who wants to remain on top, and what are they going to do to prevent other countries from trying to reach that status, right? So the United States government wants to police the world. They want to continue doing that. They want to be the one on top economically. And I truly believe that any country that gets anywhere near close to that, or can economically make it on their own, the US government is going to see that as a threat, because they don't want another country to rise above the United States economically or militarily. Even if they don't say that, they don't say those exact words, I believe that's what this is really about.
You know, not letting a guy like Putin, he's not very articulate about it. But it's not even about Ukraine. He's portrayed as, you know, caring about Ukrainians and waving their flag. But no, it's not about that. And then he confirms what we know to be true, but he says this is taking place on a wide scale. Atrocities committed by the Ukrainian forces, armed and trained by the US, maybe including apparently by him. And those atrocities include shooting to death, executing Russian soldiers who are completely helpless, defenseless, and doing it on camera. And we've seen videos of that take place around Kharkiv, for example, where the Russian soldiers were shot in the knees. There were more recent videos that came out about a month or two ago of Russian soldiers being executed. These have galvanized nationalistic sentiment in Russia and support for Russia's war, these videos. And here you have Milburn saying, you know, guys, you know, he's drunk. It's like, can't be doing this stuff. He doesn't sound very convincing, but this is the reality of the fight that we are paying for with our tax dollars. This is what Congress signed off on, this blank check for Zelensky of at least $45 billion for part of 2023. That's why Zelensky was here, paying for atrocities, paying for the cultivation of a sick militaristic society where 12 opposition parties, pretty much all opposition parties are banned, all opposition media is banned. The Russian wing of the Orthodox Church is banned. Clergy are being arrested. People who are accused of collaborating with Russia, including Jewish rabbis who stayed behind in Kherson while Russia took the town just to provide prayer services to Jews who happened to be there. They are being detained and possibly tortured. People, I mean, Ukraine has been turned into an autocratic hellhole under Zelensky's watch. And Milburn, who profited from this proxy war, who regained his reputation and supposedly found purpose in it, he's calling it out the same way we do, Jimmy, every week.
Yes. He's just letting it rip. I love that. Guys, you can't be.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's letting it rip, and he's able to say these things, and he's not being censored for it. The rest of us are. Because people have lost their channels. People have been demonetized because of it. People have been removed from PayPal, Venmo, all these other services, including Patreon, for saying the same things that that gentleman just said in that video. Keep that in mind.
You doing this?
I mean, I only had 2 minutes and 20 seconds for that tweet. I didn't buy extra time from Elon Musk, but watch the whole interview. It's pretty remarkable because the host is trying to pull him back. He's like, you can't be. He's wasted too. He's like, this is not atrocity. He's like, sorry, I want to retract that comment. And then Milburn comes in. He says, no, it actually is atrocities that they're committing. So.
I saw the guy from PBS. I forget his name. I meant to put it in this, but I didn't. Did you see that quote unquote reporter from PBS NewsHour who said that you were clipping it and to make it look? I go, what other meaning could there possibly be that he's witnessed atrocities? Ukraine's an effed up place being run by effed up criminals. What other interpretation am I going to get with a longer piece of that?
But see, if we say that, see, this is why when I saw this clip, I was like, I can't play the whole clip, but this is why I wanted to point this out. If we say that, though, we're deplatformed. Whether you say it on here, whether you say it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. But that guy can say that. And I mean, like, he's protected. You see what I'm saying? He's very much protected. So he can get away with something like that. The rest of us cannot. Now, when I talk about competition, I want to show you what I mean in reference to competitors. Because like I said, for me, I don't think it's just about this particular war. I think it also has to deal with the fact that the United States government wants the U.S. to remain on top. It doesn't want another country to come in and gain that top spot. And it's also about supporting the military industrial complex. So when we take a look here at the top banks in the world, I'm just going to show you the top 10. You're going to see who's not on top. And this is where part of the concern is coming from. Let me show you something. In the event you have not seen this, the top banks in the world. Number 1, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China Limited. That's China. 2, China Construction Bank Corporation. That's China. 3, Agricultural Bank of China Limited. China. 4, Bank of China Limited. That's 4. BNP Paribas SA. 6, JP Morgan Chase Bank. Speaking of JP Morgan, we were talking about them earlier. JP Morgan, you don't see an American bank until you get to number 6. This was not always the case. You go to number 7, Credit Agricole SA. 8, China Development Bank. And 10, MUFG Bank Limited. You don't even see Bank of America. Oh, hold on. I think they did this out of order. Oh, previous rank, current rank. Sorry. Let me switch this last 2 because this is the current rank. 9, MUFG Bank Limited, and 10, Bank of America National Association. Even Bank of America, as large as Bank of America is, Bank of America is number 10. This 9 here is from the previous year. Number 10. Okay? The point that I'm trying to get across is this. The majority of the top banks, at least the top 4 in the world, are in China, not in the US. And I want to repeat, this was not always the case. So you see what's happening here? Things are starting to shift. The US government don't like that too much. That's just something I wanted to point out.